Hello and welcome to Chef Carter's Cooking Corner. So today on Chef Carter's Cooking Corner, I'm going to show you how to what they call quarter a chicken, which is basically cutting the chicken up into its various parts. So first thing I'm going to do, I always like to look at my chicken, see what's going on. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the wings. And when I cut off the wings, I always like to have a little bit of extra meat. Like if anyone's familiar with Church's chicken, they always have that extra little piece of breast meat on there. I haven't had Church's in a while. But anyway, so you just want to cut through, and you don't want to cut through bone. What you want to cut through are the joints of the chicken. Sometimes what you got to do is just kind of fill in there. So the joint is actually here, the bone is here, the joint is right here. Alright, so you feel for it like I did. You can see that cut right through the joint. Alright, so I'm going to just kind of add a little pressure and get that little piece off. So there we go. So we got our first piece of chicken. I always like to fold my wings over like this. And I actually cook them like this. Alright. Alright, so I drained the water out of that bowl. I'm going to put my parts in there. So here we go. Showing you the same thing one more time. Just kind of cut in there. Find your joint. Okay. So my joint's right there. You can kind of see it. Alright, and that's what you want to cut through, the joint, not the bone. Alright. So I also have, you can either do paper towel. I just did one of my kitchen towels underneath to catch any of that chicken juice that might drip down. So now we got to take care of our legs. Alright. So our legs, you know, we have, this is the thigh right here, and this is the drumstick. So we're going to actually cut on the other side of this leg straight through to the joint that's down here. So you got to cut through the skin. So I'm using a smaller knife for one so you can see, you know, and also a smaller knife helps you guide a little better. Because you don't see, like when people do surgeries, they don't use scalpels this size, right? Scalpels are very small so they can make more precise cuts. But some people who are used to it, you know, they can just chop through it. But I don't always cut a chicken up. Alright, so there we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and cut this skin. Alright. And then there's the joint. You see that bone right there? The joint's right there. So now that I popped it out, actually you can use the bigger knife if you want. And just cut straight down. There we go. There we go. So, now you have two choices. You can leave it whole like this, or you can actually go on and cut the next joint. And I always do this to kind of find the joint. Alright, you can pause. Alright, see the joint right there? Okay. So I don't want to mess up my knife, so I'm kind of going slow on this. Okay, now I can feel the joint is right where my pointer finger is pointing. Alright, so you cut through. And make sure you watch your fingers. So make sure you keep those fingers far away from the knife. Okay, so there we go. Now we have our leg and we have our thigh. Alright, so we just repeat that on the other side. So I'm going to cut through the skin. Alright, you can just kind of tear it as well. Find that joint, there we go. And then cut through. through here a little bit. Alright. Go ahead and use my bigger knife. Chop through there. Okay. So there you go. There's your next piece. I'm going to leave that one whole. I'm actually going to boil those and the back to make some chicken soup later. So now you can see you have the carcass here. And so this is the backbone. You can see the little tail, the chicken tail. And I play with my food, yeah. So then I'm just going to cut through this thin membrane here. Okay. And then you can kind of tell there's parts. And what's this part right here is actually the chicken breast. Okay, so let me go ahead and cut through this real quick. Alright, let me go ahead. You hear that? I know that sounds horrible. So I just kind of cut through those ribs. Alright, we went on the other side now. Alrighty then. Oh my gosh, somebody's working on their cars. So actually what's giving me resistance is the wishbone. You see that? Alright, so now again, there's a lot of meat on this backbone. So I'm going to keep that backbone. Alright, I'm not going to worry about that part of the wishbone. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take this and we just split it in half with some of these sharp instruments. Out of my way. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. And if it's resisting, what you want to do is just put a little cut. You see how it cut down right there in the sternum? And then just kind of push it down. Alright, so that's the sternum right there of the chicken. I know you guys are getting a biology lesson. I actually did really good in biology in college. I don't know if I ever took, I don't think I took biology in high school. I took other sciences, natural sciences, like, well, I guess biology is a natural science, but I took like astronomy and geology. Alright, so, so I just like to do this. I'm sure there's an easier way, but I just like to run my fingers along the sternum here and pull it out. And if it's resisting, just kind of cut around the bones like that. There we go. See how I cut that bone out? Okay, there it goes. That's the sternum right there. Okay, so then under the sternum there's this little, it looks like plastic, but it's made of cartilage. Kind of like sharks. You know sharks do not have bones. They're made of pure cartilage. Isn't that crazy? Alright. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this breast in half. There's something resisting here. Okay, I had another bone. You don't want to push too hard through bone with your knife because that'll dull your knife. Okay, so that split it in half. So you can go ahead and pull the skin off at this point. There we go. Okay, so now we have our chicken breast. Now this would be considered chicken breast with the rib meat. And so you still have the rib bones attached. And so you see that that's like the cartilage. And so you can see that the bones, you can just kind of put your finger through there and it separates the meat from the bones. Ooh. You know, and then if it's resisting, this one, the meat and the bone is really stuck together. So no problem. We just fillet it off. So we just take our knife and stay close to the bone. Remember to always cut away from you. Okay. Alright, right here, that part's the tenderloin. I'll pull that on out. You ever buy these in the store? Has that little tendon on there. Alright, so I don't want to cut through bone with my knife. Again, that will dull my knife, so I'm just going to go like this and pull that meat off, kind of scrape it off a little bit. There we go. So there's a little meat on there. And you know, you could just, you know, work your knife around and cut off whatever meat. But again, I'm making some chicken soup later, so I can go there. Alright, so here we have a nice clean chicken breast. You see that? Alright. And then we have our tenderloin here. And so we want to get this part out of there. And this is like it gets, I'm going to put this down. Okay, so I'm going to kind of scrape that out. Okay, if it's resisting, no problem. Just cut right here. Okay, there we go. Kind of tore this up. That's alright. It'll be nice. You can still cook that up. It's going to be yummy. Alright. So I'll put that over to the side. And then we want to do the same thing on this side. So that's how you cut up a chicken. If this video's been helpful for you, remember to like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Tell others about my channel. You know, it really is my heart to help people. And by subscribing and sharing and liking, you know, you help me reach more people so I can help more people. Alright, so thank you for stopping by Chef Carter's Cooking Corner. I'll see you next time.
Do some work. I ain't putting it up there. You might be strong, but I'm not putting it up there.